Hey guys, what's up? My name is Mateo, and I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the Lakers as the season goes along. So, I've been a Lakers fan for my whole life. I grew up in LA, was born in 1992, big Dodgers and Lakers fan. We never had a football team till the Rams came around, so I've adopted the Rams, even though a lot of people like the Raiders down here. But my favorite team is the Lakers. I've always been really big into Kobe, and I think my Lakers passion kind of comes from, I'd say, my dad being a really big fan of him, as a lot of people's dads that were big fans of their sports teams, and then they were thus adopted. My earliest memory of sports was having seen the Lakers play the Portland Trail Blazers in 2000 in the Western Conference Finals. I had no idea what was going on, but I remember Kobe throwing an alley oop to Shaq, and then Shaq slamming that shit down, and then everyone going fucking nuts. And also my dad. I remember my dad jumping up and down. I don't know why he was jumping up and down, but he was my dad, so I ended up just following his lead, and I think that's kind of where my sports fandom started. So that's kind of what kickstarted me off where I am today with my sports fandom. I'm also a sports writer, so I've written for a couple outlets. I write for one now called Crown Hoops. With we write with a couple of other people who've been featured in USA Today and who've written for places that have been featured on Bleacher Report and stuff like that. So you can check out my writing there as well. But I like talking about the NBA, but I think at the end of the day, I like talking about the Lakers the most, just because that's my favorite team. So the Lakers are 6-3 on the year, and I think that's a pretty decent record, given the fact that we should expect them to come in a little bit lackadaisical. Given we know how LeBron plays, we know he likes to pace himself. We know he likes to walk on the court in order to save energy for things like the fourth quarter. Um, Anthony Davis too. I think he's pacing himself definitely, given the short off season, and he's really pacing himself on the defensive end of the thing. Some people could even argue that he's not performing up to his usual standards, and he did set a pretty high standard last year, to be fair. So Anthony Davis, he knows when he plays bad defensively, and he did tonight against the Spurs. So they had an opportunity to go up what 7-2, but they're 6-3 now, and I think a big reason of it was defense. And after the game, Anthony Davis said so. A reporter asked him, "Why'd you lose the game?" And he said, "Our defense played like shit." And that's kind of what I like about AD. He'll be honest about his defensive assessments because at the end of the day, when the playoffs come around, it really comes down to defense. And Anthony Davis knows that, and he won a champion. He won a championship, so he knows from game one to the distance how that shit goes down. In my opinion, he should have won the Defensive Player of the Year last year, given the fact that he could guard guys 1 through 5, and he was able to shut down guys with game-winning defensive plays. But that could be a rant for a different day. But we have not seen the Defensive Player of the Year, Anthony Davis, so far. And if we did, they definitely would have won that game against the Spurs tonight. And even though we haven't seen the same defensive Anthony Davis that we saw on the championship run, I think we have to take into account the shortened off season and all the other stuff people are talking about. The shortened off season, Anthony Davis, obviously, he's susceptible to injuries. And even before the game, he had an injury report where him and LeBron were listed. So, shortened off season, we're only 9 games in. I don't think there's any reason to get way too upset yet. Although it's okay to criticize the roster, I think Rob Pelinka did an amazing job with the roster. He totally upgraded the team offensively. It's kind of crazy how much stronger they are offensively compared to last year. Because when it came to nut crunch time, I think it was really just give the ball to LeBron or give the ball to AD, and then let's hope that makes something happen, or let's hope that the shooters make their threes, which is a pretty straightforward deal. You know, LeBron's good at creating space, getting to the rim, and he's good at getting shooters open. But they didn't always hit them, and that's when the offense started looking stagnant in the playoffs and stuff. So I think they have a lot more offensive weapons between Marc Gasol facilitating from the high post, Wesley Matthews, who's kind of like a Danny replacement, but he's a lot cheaper, and Dennis Schroeder, who's going to be Rondo, but with more effort throughout the season, as opposed to, Rondo, who we got playoff Rondo, and we are forever thankful for that. I'm going to have to buy a Rondo jersey in tribute, and I'm totally down to do that. Um, So offensively, I'm not worried about the team. I think that's going to naturally evolve. That's going to turn into something great. But the thing is defensively. So we lost Dwight, and I think that was probably the biggest loss of the offseason. Dwight, I think he wanted to come back, but there was some miscommunication with him and Lakers management, and there was some weird stories in the media and stuff. So he ended up going to the Sixers, as we all know. But we really could use a guy like Dwight right now. In this game, he probably wouldn't have changed it too much because the Spurs just killed us with threes. But certain matchups, Dwight's really going to help us. Um, we really need an athletic big guy, just a bruiser. Because Marcus Gasol is great, but he can't always keep up with the, if he's on the perimeter, he's going to get beat, is the thing. But I like him in guys like, if you match him up with a guy like Nurkic or Jokic, I'm okay with that matchup. And so he's also going to facilitate and hit some threes. So I'm okay with a Marc Gasol signing, but we need something else too, something defensive to add to the roster. So that's my main takeaway. That it's kind of changed. It's kind of stayed the same from day one. Our offense is gonna be amazing and it's gonna grow into something great. And we just might have to outscore teams and just not defend as well. So that's what I think the Lakers are going to be. They're the favorite, and I think they're going to repeat at the end of the day. But defensively, defense is going to be the thing that'll bring them down if it's anything. Um, yep, that's going to be it. Defense, they got to make an upgrade at the big man spot. So sign it off.